Thanks, Alicia. The Competition Commission has made what it calls a once-off offer for companies that may have been involved in cartel activity in the milling sector to come clean. The Commission says in return for full cooperation, companies that come forward will receive favourable settlement terms. Well, joining me with more is Deputy Commissioner Tembinkosi Bonakele. Tembinkosi, thanks very much for coming in today. Of course, you have been investigating the milling sector for a while for collusion, cartel-like behaviour, etc. What have you uncovered and why have you taken this step? Are you not uncovering enough, or have you uncovered more than you thought you would?
I think we uncovered a bit more than we thought we would. We certainly do believe that the problem is much more widespread than we initially thought it was. You would recall that we have cases against big millers. This is where your Tiger Brands, Pioneer and Food Corp cases are. But we uncovered that there's a lot of other smaller players, largely regionally based, so in provinces like Mpumalanga you would find them, and we found that they also participated in the cartels. Some of these companies we were not aware of, so we didn't refer cases against them. Now we realize that we're going to have to amend our papers, add a whole lot of new players. And instead of doing this in bits and pieces, we thought it's better and pragmatic to give everybody an opportunity to come forward, clean up, settle, and have a fresh start.
What sort of response would you anticipate to this, and until when do they have to come forward?
We've given them until 30th June. We think that should be sufficient time for people to conduct internal investigations. So anyone out there who is running a milling company has no excuse of saying, I didn't know. Well, we're saying now the conduct was widespread and probably your company was involved. We expect that we're going to get a lot of approaches. We have already received approaches from people we didn't refer cases against. We've settled at least one of those cases, and people can go and see the settlement was quite favorable. We're looking at, they told us about others we didn't refer cases against, so we know that there are many people out there who have an opportunity now to take this offer.
When you promise leniency, how lenient can you be? Because I know you can, your maximum fine is 10% of full company turnover. There has been fines of 10% of divisional turnover. What's the leniency that's being promised to companies that do come forward and give you their full cooperation?
Well, we're going to give them discounts and penalties, significant discounts. I can't tell you the figures now, but you will recall that the tribunal also fined Pioneer 10%, which was the maximum fine. Although they looked at a smaller turnover figures. We would then take that into account, and so the penalties will be much smaller than what the tribunal would ordinarily impose.
Of course, just with the case of Pioneer, they were fined 10% of divisional turnover, weren't they?
They were fined a turnover for bread,
on the bread division. But you did ask for that to be repealed, and you asked for that to be on corporate turnover, on the full company's turnover, didn't you?
That's right. We have an appeal, and it's getting ahead in September, where we want to fine Pioneer on their total turnover.
What sort of message is this sending to companies that have been involved in cartel-like behaviour? Because we're looking at pretty hefty penalties then, aren't we?
We are. This is part of what we're doing is to give people an opportunity to get out of cartels. You know, the idea that you can run a business through cartels, that time is over now. It's an opportunity for a fresh start, for a change in behavior. It is an opportunity for us to find people, but that's not the end. The end is people changing behavior and competing on merit.
So because of course we know many of these cartels are historic, they're endemic to South Africa in the past. Are they still operating? Are we still seeing these cartels? And are we looking at regional, national, provincial cartels? How are they operating?
We're very worried, particularly in the food sector. This is a sector where you had a lot of control boards before. Now, it seems to us that there's a transition that never occurred. When the markets were liberalized in about '96, we didn't see a change, and we're uncovering that now, that in a whole lot of agricultural markets, the transition never really happened to a real competitive market.
What happens to all the money that you're getting in these fines?
Money goes to Treasury.
It doesn't go back to compensate people who may have been disadvantaged through the cartel-like behavior?
It goes to the fiscus. There is an opportunity for people to sue companies if they can quantify the damages. And we certainly encourage that with some of the settlements, we have encouraged people to also settle with the people who were victims of the conduct.
And just finding your own resources in handling all these cases, because you have a number of investigations going in a number of different industries, and it looks like cartel behaviour is rife or was rife in South Africa. Do you have the resources to handle these? By companies coming forward with plea bargains, does that help alleviate the resources you might need?
Yeah, you have to be a little bit pragmatic. If we were to prosecute every milling cartel case one by one, we have more than 20 respondents. So if we were to litigate against 20 people, that certainly would impact negatively on our resources. So you have to have some built-in incentives for people to settle. But of course, you can't take away the stick. If people don't settle, you've got to have the capacity to prosecute, and we think we do have.